It's your girl, Lady Mocha. And you know I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth, and I'm going to always break you off with a slice of knowledge.
Ladies and gentlemen, our founder, I want you to meet the baddest motherfucker in town.
What's up, everybody? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, welcoming you to a new episode of serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Big ups to all of my subscribers who have been rocking with me from the beginning of time. When I first started this journey, I thank you for still rocking with me and still being with me. Even though we may not agree on everything, but I thank you for still respecting my craft and respecting um, my skills and being very appreciative of the knowledge that I have been distributing. And of course, I definitely want to give a big ups to my subscribers who just subscribed. Welcome to the family. And if this is your first time viewing and you like today's content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell because you never know when I'm going to be serving up a new dish of knowledge and wisdom for you. Okay, so thought it was imperative that I got in today's content on today's menu. I thought it was important that I discuss this issue with molestation. Now, I know this is one of those type of subjects that nobody's never really too comfortable with talking about. This is not a very interesting topic. It's not as entertaining as, some of these other bloggers who do things about pop culture, celebrity tea, gossip. I know when we hear the word molestation, it's nothing that seems to be too entertaining enough for us to really want to take the time to really listen about. But this is something that is definitely affecting the Black community. Ever since this big old controversy of surviving R. Kelly and all of these young ladies who came forth exposing their experience with R. Kelly, it has been basically flooding the headlines, and every time you turn around, you're hearing more and more and more and more people wanting to come out and confess and admit to being a victim of R. Kelly's alleged pedophile activities. So you have it. But yes, the media has been getting a hold of this, and they've really been running with it, like it's been a marathon. But the truth of the matter is, this has been going on for centuries. We've been having R. Kelly's in the Black community for years, and I understand that anybody who views this content, they're going to say, well, you know what, there's white people that are pedophiles and molesters. Why we're talking about Black people? The reason I'm talking about Black people, because me as a Black woman, I can only relate to the Black community. I cannot discuss things that I can't relate to. I cannot relate to other races, and this is not to say that I'm overlooking other races who are doing this, because of course we all know it's not just Black men that have an issue with being pedophiles or having the spirit of perversion that is unfortunately causing them to target young vulnerable women uh, within the Black community. So I'm well aware that this molestation and pedophile is not just a Black issue. Nor am I saying all Black men have capabilities of becoming pedophiles, but let's just let's just stick to the subject at hand, because somebody's going to always, when it comes to the Black community, we are very sensitive. We don't like to be targeted. Soon as we're called out or something is brought to our attention on, and we're forced to be made aware of it. Like, nobody didn't really take molestation or these Black men that are pedophiles. Nobody took it serious until this R. Kelly thing came out. Now everybody wants to talk about it. And even then, people are acting like this is something that just started happening. This has been occurring for years and centuries at a time. And, people who have experienced it, you may have an aunt, you may have a mother, you may have a grandmother who has experienced molestation during their youth. This has been an ongoing problem for centuries. And the only reason why everybody's making such a big deal out of it these days is because of celebrities. Like, duh, celebrities. Just because a man is a millionaire, you don't think he could be mentally sick. You don't think he's exempt from the devil using him. You don't think he's exempt from being sexually perverted because he's a millionaire. Oh, you thinking because he's a millionaire, he can get any woman he wants. Guess what? That has nothing to do with it if you are mentally sick. Okay, you're not looking at the fact that I got all this money, I can buy prostitutes, I can buy women. Again, it's the sickness. And I don't say sickness in the sense of sympathizing. Sickness as in the person really needs psychological help. Because when we hear sickness, we automatically want to associate that with sympathy. And that's not true. Okay. Just because somebody says I got a sickness or illness, especially if it's causing damage to people that are not able to really defend themselves, this is a whole nother level of sickness, that um can't be cured overnight. And if there is a probability of any type of cure, it's almost slim to none, because in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I don't think a child molester or a pedophile could be rehabilitated. I really don't think they can be rehabilitated. I believe that I believe there are certain instances. You may have had that one young high school boy who, on a night, on prom night, um he was maybe maybe he was 17 and his date was like 15, 14. And he was supposed to just take it to a prom and things got out of hand. He got a little too hot and heavy, couldn't control his hormones, and being immature, he took advantage of the situation and didn't use his common sense. He allowed his hormones pretty much get the best of him. I mean, there's been instances in which, there has been young men who have been young and haven't made the best decisions as far as putting themselves in situations with young ladies where they have taken things too far to the point to where they ended up they allowed their hormones to overtake them to the point to where they disregarded the pain and the damage they was taking the young lady through at the time during the sexual act had taken place. So there's different factors. I mean, I can emphasize if at the time the man, which is now a full grown man, he was a child himself at the time when that act occurred, I might can give him a pass being that he was young, but I can only give him a pass if that was only at that time and that has not happened since. Now, had it kept progressing and now he's a full grown man and still doing that, then now, no, it's no longer, it wasn't a phase. You actually have a sickness. So these are things that a lot of us really don't think about. Again, nobody really made a big deal out of this till all of these stars came forth. And then again, as black people in the black community, we don't like to be called out. We don't like to be singled out. Since the R. Kelly since this R. Kelly situation has come about, I've been looking into the blogs and I've been seeing people comment, well, what about this and what about that? What about Elvis back in the day? What about these other white guys? What about the guy from I think the show was called Dawson's Creek? He played as the father. I was really shocked when I found out that he had molested. He just didn't have that kind of demeanor, that kind of look, which we all know molesters don't have a look, but I was really baffled by that. So we automatically, that's what we do when it comes to us or somebody we have admired. We want to take the heat off of them and we want to bring up these what ifs. The truth of the matter is, when it is your time to get exposed, it don't matter who else has committed the same exact thing you have committed. Sometimes you have to realize in life, it's going to be things that you can do, that you're going to do, that the world is not going to spare you the same way they're going to spare another individual. And that's the chance you take. So if you're doing something or you're making a bad choice based on the fact that there's other people of other races that are doing it, that does not mean you're going to get spared. When it's your time to get exposed and it's your time to get caught, the media, the law is not going to have any empathy when it comes to you. And you may not get spared the same amount of sympathy and the same amount of empathy compared to these other races or these other people of other cultures. You may not get spared that. So just keep in mind, it's one of those sayings like, if your friend jumps off the bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge? Guess what? You jump off the bridge, your friend, you may die. Your friend probably jumped off the bridge and was fortunate enough to where they was able to rescue them in time before they actually went all the way underneath the water and died. But you may not be spared that if you decide to make that decision. So just keep in mind, we can't keep pulling out the black card, the race card. What about Elvis? What about because he married his wife Priscilla. Yeah, they was married though. Times were different then. It's been all type of scenarios people have brought up, but it don't matter. It has nothing to do with R. Kelly. But again, I don't want to talk a whole lot on R. Kelly. If you want to hear more about him, you want to get more of an opinion about the situation, I'm sure it's 1,000 other bloggers on YouTube that's already covering that. That's too big of a story for me to try to cover because I don't have the connections. I don't have enough facts to pretty much report on that particular story with him because he's too big of a star and my connections are too small to cover a story a story so massive. You get what I'm saying, if that makes any sense. So my brand, I'm doing good, but I'm not there yet. So I'm staying in my lane with that. I'll leave that to these big time bloggers who have all the connections to be able to dig more into that. Because once you open that door, people gonna come at you and ask you 1,000 other questions that I may not have an answer for. So I don't want to start something that I might not be able to finish. But the content I have on today's menu goes far beyond that. That was just a brief summary as to why I'm doing this content, because again, there's a lot of this that's been going on in the black community, and the problem is that it is causing a lot of young black women to be targeted. There's a lot of young black women who have become victims of these pedophiles, these child molesters. um, and it's gotten even worse over the years, when the system came into play and started giving, these black women uh governmental assistance, housing, Section A, food stamps, child support, all of this. These, once these things came about, it made women become even more vulnerable, to the point to where now they don't feel the pressure of having to make the right decisions, because the government has been assisting them over the years. Um, it's made women less. It has made women less careful, because um, it's one of those situations where, to give y'all a bigger, I give you a better understanding of where I'm going with it, because I know that sounds pretty vague. Like, what does the system has to do with molestation? Well, what happens is when you have the advantage of being able to sleep with multiple men, or sleep with a man, if even if it's just one, and you're still given a privilege of housing, of food stamps, um, Section A, when you're still given these privileges, it makes you less careful, meaning that you don't use your best judgment as much, because of the fact that um, you didn't really have to put in as much effort to get the things that you were privileged. It's kind of one of those things, like if somebody gives you a car, versus you working for it and earning it, you're less likely to be careful. You're less likely to be appreciative. You'll let anybody drive that car. Um, you won't maintenance it. You won't do things you near as much to protect that car, because it was given to you. Now, had you had to work for that car, you had to slave for that car, you had to save up every nickel and dime for that car, you're going to be more careful with how you use that car. You're not going to just lend your car to anybody. You're not just going to drive that car crazy all kind of way. You're not going to be speeding in that vehicle. You're going to be more selective, because you're going to remember all of what you had to go through to get that blessing. But when things are just handed to you, you kind of don't give a rat's ass. You kind of, you take it for granted, and you pretty much um leave your blessings open to anybody, because again, you didn't have to struggle or fight to get it in the first place, so you're not near as careful and appreciative. And that's what has happened with the system. So basically, a lot of these single mothers that did not make the best of decisions, and I'm not saying all single mothers are bad mothers. If it does not apply, you don't have to reply. This does not put all single black mothers in the box, just certain specific ones. Only you know if you fit that category. If it doesn't fit you, there's no need to get offended, okay? But if it does fit you, if the shoe fits you, wear it. Maybe you can learn something from it. But anyway, as I was stating, that's really, to me, that's what sparked um a lot of molesters having a privilege to be able to get away with the things that they have been doing. Because what happened was, once these single mothers were able to get houses without husbands, to get benefits without husbands, automatically gave them a sense of entitlement. If I was able to get a house, if I was able to get the system to provide food and all this other system, all these other governmental aid, for me, I'm entitled to a man as well. I should be able to have that as well. So what happened was, it made women less careful. It made women more vulnerable, in a sense, to where women who are receiving these privileges, they're the ones that are most prone to becoming targeted by these molesters and predators. Because if you think about it, molesters and predators, they're not going to approach married women, because a married woman already has her own house. She already has a husband. He can't move up in there. This is not to say there hasn't been instances where some women were stupid and left their husbands thinking this was a cool dude and found out he was a molester. But that's very slim that happens. But what I'm saying is, when you're a single woman, a single mother especially, is a predator's dream come true, because he knows there's no man in that home. He knows that uh most likely she's going to want a man, she's going to want a companion. And one thing about molesters, they're very smart, they're very wise, they're sick, perverted, but they're wise, and they're very cunning, and a lot of them are very charming. Like I stated before in one of my past contents, molesters don't look like crazy white guys that's wearing thick Coca-Cola bottle glasses and look like they've been running through the woods, raping folks. Molesters could be very handsome, very good looking. We hear about it every day. Molesters in your church, molesters in your neighborhood, hell, molesters in your family. It's all over. So we can't be naive and gullible and think that a molester has to look a certain way, or molester is only a poor man in poverty. It's men who are rich who can buy, who can buy ass, and they yet still want to mess with children because it's a sickness. Again, it has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with race, it has everything to do with that man's mental deficiencies. So you have it. But moving forward, the reason I state this is that people have to realize molestation develops into thought behavior. And what happens when these women, women, single mothers, and let's be honest, the subject is going to be about single mothers because it's the children that are getting molested, okay? Not single women. Single women don't have that problem because they don't have children. So the single women don't have to worry about um somebody molesting their children, don't have children. So that's why, a lot of single mothers will get offended. Why are you relating your content to us? Because y'all are the ones that are targeted. Y'all are the only ones with children. It's not the single women. They don't have to worry about that. Even the single fathers, they don't have to worry about that unless they pick up a woman who's a molester, and that can happen. You got some female molesters, but again, it's going to always be exceptions. And we get this. Again, it's not just black men. There are white women molesters. There are Mary Kay, who, there are all these white females who are teaching at these schools that are having inappropriate sexual relations with their students. We know that. But I'm concerned about the black community. Because again, that's the only I can only relate to the black community because I am a black woman. I can't relate to these other races. Okay, so let's stick to the subject because I know somebody's going to come in. I get it. I get it. I get it. Trust me, I'm not overlooking that. But let's stay on the topic at hand. Now, the reason I say molestation develops into thought behavior because when these single mothers allow these men who they don't do their research on, because the man is fine, he looks good, he knows how to put it down in the bedroom, or he has money, or he's a star. Because I could only imagine all of these women who are crying victim about R. Kelly, but at the same time, I'm sure a lot of their mothers, these young ladies, I'm sure their mothers or even their fathers were starstruck. Oh, R. Kelly wants to take my child on tour. Wow, he wants my daughter, and that should be a red flag as a parent. A grown ass man coming to you, I don't care how rich and successful he is. You're not taking my 13, 14-year-old nowhere. But 9 times out of 10, molesters are very cunning. Um, he probably presented himself in a way, and this is just a guess. I don't have no facts. I don't know a goddamn thing because I'm a nobody. I don't have no connections with nobody in the industry. But just my assumption, he probably made these parents feel comfortable because he's a star. He probably lied and told them all kind of stuff. Hey, I want to make your daughter a star. I want to start a girl group. I really think I can make your daughter famous. Ain't no telling what he said to make them parents comfortable. Because I just can't see a parent just saying, you can take my 13 to 14-year-old. But even then, but every parent is different. I would still be suspect. Because even if you want to sign my daughter something, I'm like, nah, she's a little too young for that. But people are starstruck because R. Kelly was R. Kelly. They heard these young ladies, their parents probably was down by law. This rich, successful man wants to make my daughter famous. You'd be surprised. People will let their morals go for a dollar. Let their morals go for popularity and fame. All these parents that are crying wolf now probably was the main ones who knew it was risky, but because R. Kelly was a star, they didn't use their best judgment. But anyway, that's another topic. First of all, there's a lot of young black women, unfortunately, that have experienced the trauma of being molested. And a lot of us, we don't want to believe that. We don't want to think that. We think molestation only happens in these Catholic churches or these black churches. It's happening right in your own goddamn neighborhood to your neighbor next door. Little girl that probably looks pretty, well dressed. You would never think in a million years her father's molesting her, or her mom's boyfriend is molesting her, because he seems like a friendly guy. He seems like a nice guy. You don't think nothing of it. You see them in a nice home with nice cars. It's not even in your mind that something like that could be going on within their household. And you won't know until one day you're taking out the trash and you see police pulling up to the door, a bunch of police standing outside in a driveway, and you look on the news and you find out your neighbor next door that seemed like a easygoing, nice, cool person. You see him on the news because it's been reported that he's been raping his daughter or molesting his daughters for years. Everything ain't what the hell it look like. Okay, the grass is always greener. A molester don't always like a molester, and a child that's being molested may not always act it, may not always look it. She could be well dressed. She could be in all kind of school activities. She could be in the band. She could be a ballerina. She could be a straight A student and getting raped repeatedly every day when she gets out of school, getting molested by her own uncle, her own father, her mom's boyfriend. So you just cannot be deceived. But what happens is, when these young ladies, they don't get treated, they don't get any type of spiritual guidance, they don't get any psychiatric help, they don't seek professional help, they don't get a therapist, a counselor, people that specialize in dealing with this type of behavior. They are forced to learn how to cope with it alone. And it's very, very dangerous for a young lady to have to deal with molestation on her own and not seek help for it, because when you've been molested at the age of 9, 10, let's say from 8, even really is not a good age, but let's say once you are old enough to become aware of it, um between the ages of maybe 4 years old to 13, 14, and you have repeatedly been molested, and you've experienced this over and over and over, from little girl all the way up until you became a child. And even though you may be out of your molester's presence, meaning you probably moved on and married, or you moved out your mother's house as soon as you got old enough, um or you ran away from home, or you were one of those children who reported it, and luckily foster care defect stepped in and removed you from the home. Whatever your case is, the whole bottom line is you've been molested. And once a young woman has experienced molestation, it brings her a mental type of drama that will forever change her life for the rest of her life. Basically, to give you another insight as to how molestation could trigger thought behavior, is because once a child has experienced a physical encounter, a sexual physical encounter with a grown man, and to put it mildly, use your imagination, he erupts inside of a child, okay? Basically, what happens is that eruption is a chemical that has been deposited into her body as a child. So what happens is those chemicals tend to trigger her hormones. And what it does over time is, a child that has been tempered sexually, she will automatically skip her youth stage and go straight into a womanhood. Basically, by nature, a child is supposed to experience being a newborn, a toddler, a child, an adolescent, a young woman, then a full-grown woman. But what happens is, once a child has experienced sexual trauma, because that's what molestation is, there's nothing pleasurable about it. It's sexual trauma. She skips all of those stages that's important for her to have to help her transition into a woman. She has lost that. Once she has experienced being violated, all those stages are skipped. So it's no different than a person
who a newborn who never had that advantage to crawl, like most newborns are supposed to crawl before they walk. If a newborn starts walking right before they learn to crawl, at some point as they become an adult, they're going to have to crawl at some point, even if it just means getting on the floor to find something they dropped. They're going to have to crawl at some point. You know, it basically, it has a way of ruining that child's nature, if that makes any sense to anybody that's listening to this content. So what happens over time is this young child will, because she skipped all of the stages before transitioning to a woman, she automatically becomes a woman. She starts acting very womanly at a young age. So when you see some of these young girls, ladies and gentlemen, they're not even 13 years old. They're wearing really tight clothes. They're acting hot. You know, they acting very fresh. They acting very promiscuous. You see this young child and you wonder, this is a little girl. Why is she acting so grown? 9 times out of 10, there's a big probability she's probably been molested. Okay? And what has happened is those adult hormones that enter her body as a child, it has manifested into her resorting to thought behavior. Because once your body has experienced that type of event, at some point your body is going to yearn for that again. It's going to yearn for that physical, because that's what sex is. Sex is basically a physical act. So once your body has experienced a physical act, it's kind of like a drug. Once you smoke your first crack pipe, guess what? At some point, your body's going to yearn for that hit again, because once that chemical has entered the body, it's not going to release itself. It's there indefinitely, and that is the same way these encounters work. When a child has been tampered with, and she has experienced a sexual act by a grown man entering inside her body is going to yearn for that attention again at some point in time. And if she's experienced that act at 5, 6 years old, by the time she's 9, 10, she's already sexually got the mind of a 17, 18-year-old who that is sexually active. Okay, so if that makes any sense, hopefully y'all are following me on this. But once a man has erupted into a child, it imbalances her chemicals. It imbalances her chemicals, and it triggers hormones that should have not been triggered until she was fully developed. And once a child has been tampered, it destroys her development. You know what I mean? So a lot of these young girls that are acting out and acting whorish and acting thottish, you have to think about it. Maybe there was an uncle, their mama boyfriend, somebody touched this child for her to be acting so womanly and already have a promiscuous behavior. Now, this ain't the case with all young thots, because some of them was just being thotty. Okay, you know, they came from a family with good morals, good backgrounds. They went against everything their parents taught them, and the wrong guy got in their head, you know, and had them doing things that they know they're not supposed to do. So I'm not using this as an excuse for everybody that participates in thought behavior. This is just another aspect of what contributes to thought behavior.
What a lot of people not understanding is when it comes to any type of sexual behavior, any type of sexual assaults, especially at a young age when you are a girl and you're nowhere near a womanhood. When you become a woman and you did not seek any help or get any professional counseling throughout the time during your youth, when you experience that type of trauma, it becomes cemented in your mental psyche, meaning that it permanently damages you. It permanently affects you. And I strongly believe that a lot of black women that have become very promiscuous, a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of them have been molested. A lot of them have experienced some type of inappropriate sexual activities done to them throughout their youth. Now, I'm not excusing everybody now. I don't want people to think I'm giving these thoughts out here pass, because some of these thoughts are thoughts, period. Because they love hoeing, they love the whore, they love to sleep with all type of guys, they sexually demonic. And you got some women that are addicted to sex. They're addicted, I mean literally addicted. That's the best, most appropriate way I can put it. So I'm not giving all of these females that are participating in promiscuous behavior, thought behavior, I'm not giving them a pass. I do not want nobody to think I'm giving women who act like this a pass, but only those who have been molested. Because what y'all have to understand is, and this may be a little strong content for some of the viewers, but in order for us to really understand how severe um this type of sexual assault can cause a lot of significant damage, you have to realize you under the age of 8 years old, and your mother's boyfriend, is coming in your room drunk every night while your mother's knocked out sleep. And, as a child, you've had the experience a full grown man putting his penis into your young, underdeveloped vaginal area. First of all, to go deeper, at that age, your body's not designed to experience that type of interference physically in that manner. Your body's not designed for that. If anything, your body's not fully developed, because if we want to keep it real, really, sex is designed for grown people, meaning that even if that woman decides to wait till she's a virgin, till she's 20, 21 years old, before she decides to have her first sexual encounter, even though it's going to be painful, because for the first time, the body has to be stretched. However, the body is smart enough to realize that even though this is this woman's first time having a sexual encounter, even though the physical act in itself is going to be a little physical for her till the body gets used to it, and that's when the pleasure begins to take place, the mind is still smart enough to adjust to the act that is taking place. But you have to realize, when you are a child and the man is entering inside of your body, not only physically, your woman parts is not capable of handling that type of interference. Because for one, a man is a man. He's too big, he's too large. You're still tight and you're not ripe. Okay? You're not fully ripe yet. Okay? So when a fully mature grown man is entering your apple and it's not ripe, it's going to cause a significant amount of damage, not only physically, but mentally, because you have to realize your mental and your physical interacts. They both correspond. They communicate with each other. In order for me to feel comfortable with a man sexually entering my body, my mind has to be in coherence, in relation to my I'm trying to say this in an appropriate way because I don't want to get flagged, but y'all get my saying, but y'all get what I'm saying, but my lady parts. I know that sounds very juvenile, but I don't want them flagging me for saying the P word too many times or whatever. So my mind and my body has to be in agreement. If this is reason why when women experience getting raped, the reason why rape is so traumatic, even as a grown woman, is because when that man forced himself on you, or or basically forced you physically, your body didn't have time to communicate with your lady parts. Being that if my body agrees, if me and a man we're grown and we both are agreeing to do the darn thing, whether it's my husband or my boyfriend, my man. My my mind has prepared my body for that act. Like in other words, okay, I know he's coming over tonight. I'm gonna wear something a little sexy. So I'm relaxed, I'm calm, I'm getting myself in the mood. I got my little candles. My body is communicating, is preparing my lady parts for what's about to happen. So I'm already, I may experience, I may even, some women may even watch, not that I have to do it, but you have some women, they may watch a little porn, watch little stuff, to get them in the mood. Because again, you're trying to prepare your body to communicate with the mind. So when it all goes down, you're enjoying it. You've already you know gotten your lips watered. It's kind of like you're going to cook some steak for tonight. You thought it out the morning before, you seasoned it, you marinated it, and you're just looking forward to that taste of that steak that you got ready, because mentally it's already in your mind that tonight, oh, I'm gonna have some good juicy steak for dinner. And you come home and find out you see some flies or something done landed on the steak. Now your taste buds are ruined because you had already mentally prepared yourself to eat that steak, and now it's ruined. And you're like, man, I had my mind on my steak. I had my mind on eating some steak all day. Now I can't eat it. I don't see 2, 3 flies on it. You got to throw it out. It's no good, because you don't know where those flies been. Just to give you an analogy. And that's the same way sex works, intimacy works. As a woman, we don't just get in the mood. You can't, if you force a woman to have sex and her mind and her body hasn't communicated that, that's where rape becomes painful, not just physically but mentally, because your mind wasn't ready for the act. This person took it from you, they forced you, and that didn't give your mind time to communicate with your lady part. So you didn't get a chance to get yourself wet. You didn't give yourself a chance to, your mind didn't speak to your body to help you to build that adrenaline. So when you are a child, basically you're nowhere near womanly enough to be able to communicate how your body reacts to your lady parts. So with that being stated, this is why children become even more traumatized, because they're nowhere developed physically or mentally for that type of act to occur. So when you have a grown man who sneaks in a child's room, the mom's boyfriend or your own father, who sneaks in your room at night, when really as a child you should supposed to be enjoying your sleep so you can get up the next morning and get yourself ready for school, your mom do your hair, that's what you're supposed to be experiencing as a child. But once a grown man has physically entered your body, what happens is it stunts your mental growth as a grown woman. So a lot of times a woman will act the age that she was first molested. If she was molested at 9 years old, she could be 30. And even though she may have a good job, she may even drive nice cars, but mentally you're going to see her do things like a 9-year old. You're going to see her throw tantrums. You're going to see her lash out. A lot of that has to do with the fact that some of these grown women are acting out and doing thought behavior because of the fact that a lot of black women who were raised by these single moms were molested because mama had to have a man. She already felt like she cheated herself by sleeping with all of these dudes and not giving her children a father. So the first man that gives her attention, her desperation is automatically going to make herself believe that this man means her well. So she will move him in her home, won't do no research just because he knows how to put on some charm, because he knows how to throw it down in the bedroom. And neither does she know he's setting her up for a disaster. He's doing that so he can get in close to feeding his sickness, which is molesting her daughter. It's like dealing with a crackhead. A crackhead will tell you anything just so that you can get comfortable. They can steal from you, rob from you, just so they can get whatever they need from you to go satisfy that hit, to cure that fiend. Whatever they got to tell you, they got to lie and say, hey, you got $20, $30, I'm gonna pay you back tomorrow. Knowing they're not even gonna pay your ass back tomorrow, but it's again, they're trying to feed that sickness. So they're going to lie and manipulate and say whatever they have to get in good with you so they can use that opportunity to steal from you, rob from you, to go cure that fix. Okay, so same way molester work. A molester knows he has to get in good with that single mother. He has to get in good with that woman. And if that molester knows that that child is not only the part has a single mom, but the molester smart enough to know the child's father is not active in that child's life. If he's been around that single mother long enough and he don't moved in and he knows the father never comes around, the father never sees about the child. That's why I tell you, single men, or you men who are not with your baby mamas, keep up with your children, because these predators, they're smart. They love when men don't come around because that gives them full advantage, especially when you have a daughter. Okay, and it does happen to sons, but especially when you have a daughter. So be very careful, because molesters are very smart. They know how to scope out the situation before they go into it. They'll watch the single mother, they'll study her, they'll see she works a lot, so that gives them an advantage to do all of what they want to do, because they know she works a lot of shifts, she's never home. The father never comes around. So all of this, a molester calculates in their mind. And this is when things like this happen. We have overabundant population of black women who have been molested, and because of that, a lot of them have um transformed to thoughts and are performing thought behavior, because they have been taught at a young age, because these molesters got to realize they've been lying to these grown women as little girls. If you love me, you'll let me touch you. If you love me, you'll kiss me here. You'll do this to me. If you want to make me happy. That's how molesters talk to young girls. And I know it's nasty, and I know, it's painful to hear, but they tell a child this. Molesters don't care. They'll say, if you love me, you'll do this. You'll love me, you'll let me touch that. You love me, you'll let me put my finger here. You love me, you'll put your mouth down here. As a grown woman, you've been taught that from a child. It develops you into a thought behavior, because you've been taught from a child that in order to get a man or to make a man love me, I have to sexually please him. Because she's been taught as a little girl who did not know anything, who had not enough maturity, mental abilities to understand that she was being violated. In her mind, she was taught that that meant love. And we have a lot of black women out here that are resorting to thought behavior. Not all, because some thoughts are just thoughts for the hell of it. Because some of these thoughts, they come from well-balanced homes, got good fathers and good mothers who taught them right from wrong. So all y'all thoughts don't get a damn thought pass now, okay? Let me make sure I say that. I'm talking about these women who were molested and have become thoughts, okay? Because they have been taught, only way I'm gonna get attention or to get a man to love me or want me is if I'm always sexually pleasing him, giving him sexual favors. So my fear is all of these young women that have came forth with R. Kelly and all of these other young women that have been molested and have been taken advantage of by these pedophiles. The problem is these young women, if they have not gotten any counseling, gotten any help, they're going to become thoughts. Once your body has experienced that type of trauma, sooner or later, your mind learns to block out the trauma and see it as pleasure. In other words, the mind will psych you out and make you believe that, okay, this is acceptable. This is normal. So this becomes a part of molestation, becomes a part of a woman's psyche. And not only that, spiritually, once you have been violated in that way, it becomes a curse that tends to follow you into your womanhood, unless you've gotten some spiritual guidance and seek some spiritual help, to where God was able to intervene before the devil was able to fully intercede. If that woman has not gotten any spiritual guidance or psychological help, it's going to become a part of her personality. And as once it becomes a part of her personality, she's going to continue to behave as a thought. She's going to continue to participate in thought behavior, because again, she was taught thought behavior at the age of a child. And 9 times out of 10, a child who experienced that, They didn't have nobody to turn to. They didn't really have no support. Couldn't go to mama, okay, because mama didn't believe it anyway. Or mama was too busy doing her. Daddy wasn't really around, or daddy was too busy. So a child is forced to have to live with this type of trauma and care for and deal with it on her own, live with it on her own. And that's very overwhelming and overbearing for somebody who has not received any psychological tools or any psychological solutions and being able to deal with that experience and that type of trauma. But anyway, what is y'all intake on this? Do y'all think molestation develops into thought behavior, or do you think molestation is too big of a deal? Everybody's blowing it out of proportion. I mean, what is y'all intake on this? Do y'all think molestation has anything to do with women who have become very promiscuous? Do you agree? Do you not agree? Do you think that's just an excuse that a lot of these women are using to condone their promiscuous behavior? I'm not sure, but I would like to hear your opinion. But that's my personal opinion. I think a lot of these women, unfortunately, are resorting to thought behavior because of experiencing molestation as a child. So anyway, leave your comment. Let me know what y'all think about this particular issue. And don't forget, Friday night, 9 o'clock, I'm supposed to be getting with the guys. We're going to talk about pedophiles infesting the Black community. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. And I look forward to talking to y'all soon. It's your girl, Lady Mocha. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth and break you off with a slice of knowledge. Take care. Bye.